at 86. Man, are the virgins going to be disappointed. America apparently had to start an entire war to kill an 86-year-old man in ill health and not wait, I don't know, 3 weeks to let saturated fat do its thing.
Ah, yes. They're hilarious. They should. Whatever they do, they find ways to defend the terrorists of the world and glorify murderers and assassins. Little cat scratch fever. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, big politics going on in Texas today, the state of Texas today. Jasmine Crockett leads James Tallarico in new Texas primary poll, the El Paso Times says. Democrats have to get out and vote for James Tallarico in the primary there because, Jasmine Crockett, she's an embarrassment to Western civilization, to the English-speaking world. And the Democrats love her. Yes, they do. Just like they love Luigi Mangione. They're making a musical comedy about Luigi Mangione assassinating a nice man, a father of two, a husband, a CEO, never did anything wrong, and the Democrats celebrate his murder because they're the left. They're not liberals. They're completely insane. Yes, they are. Boy, I got to tell you the craziness. And they're out here, they're chanting in favor of Iran. And where are they? They're chanting death, death to America. But you know what they're doing? The Democrats. You see this one? They're putting out because they don't like America. They've got the death to America thing going, and they're doing it now in Farsi, in Persian. The teaching people, and they did this last year in Chicago. You may remember last year in Chicago, Democrats held a gathering, and at the gathering, they were teaching a large group of Democrats that had assembled to chant death to Israel in Persian and death to America after one of the Democrat participants said, "Can you teach us to chant death to America too? Can you?" And this is in Chicago last year.
I'm going to teach you a chant in Persian that you can use if you ever encounter those Zionist freaks, whether they be Iranian or whatever, all right? Now, I don't drink margaritas. But we all know what a margarita is. We all know what a bar is. So you're going to say, Marg Bar. Marg Bar. Marg Bar Israel. 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 Thank you. What does that mean?
And they're, yay! Yeah, death to Israel, learning to chant death to Israel, Marg Bar Israel, Marg Bar Israel, death to Israel, death to Israel. And the Democrats are chanting, and then one of them says, what about, can you teach us to chant death to America?
So, it has two meanings, depending on who you ask. It can mean death to or down with. So, can we get a Marg Bar America? We can get a Marg Bar America. Yes, we can. Marg Bar America! Marg Bar America! Marg Bar America! Marg Bar America! Thank you.
Thank you. See, they're teaching them that's in Farsi and Persian. They're teaching the Democrats in Chicago to chant in foreign languages, death to America. It's what they always chant in the streets of Tehran. They've been doing that since I was a teenager. Death to America, death to America. And now, a pretty amazing story out of New York, New York. Columbia University anti-Israel group posts death to America after U.S. and Israel kill Khamenei because they love Khamenei. He's the head terrorist, the bearded loon. Columbia University's biggest anti-Israel student group, which notoriously organized last year's on-campus encampment in protest of the Gaza war, that is to say in favor of Hamas kidnapping and torturing and raping and murdering, posted death to America in Persian after the U.S. and Israel killed Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei. Marg Bar America, the Columbia University, listen to this, apartheid divest group, they CUAD, They call them the Columbia University Apartheid Divest Group. That is to choke Israel to death economically is their plan because they're like Nazis, you know. They hate the Jews, want to kill them all, wipe Israel off the face of the earth. Marg Bar Amrika, the Columbia University Kuwad group, posted on X and a rally cry made famous by founder the Islamic Republic of Iran, Ayatollah Khomeini, the long-dead Khomeini. When he died, a mob ripped his body to shreds and tore pieces of his beard out. They still have him at home, you know, in frames on the wall in Tehran. The words are a transliteration of the Farsi phrase. The post was removed by X, but the organization, which is not recognized by the Ivy League school, doubled down. It's not recognized. They just allow them to operate on campus. They don't officially recognize them because that would be wrong. X forced us to delete our Marg Bar Amrika tweet in order to gain back access to our account, but the sentiment still stands, Kuwad wrote on X. Columbia University responded to the troubling post in a statement emphasizing that Kuwad is not affiliated in any way with the university, except that it's operated by the students on campus. And they, from the river to the sea chants, wipe Israel off the face of the earth, kill all the Jews, just like their Nazi forebears of the Socialist Workers' Party from Germany. You know, there's no evidence that anyone currently in control of their account is a current Columbia student, staff, or faculty member. They are illegally using the Columbia name, the New York City schools said. Sure, we're the Columbia University Death to Israel cult, and we're posting Death to America on X. And they're like, hey, we don't even know him. We weren't even there. We never met the guy. Isn't that amazing? It's the Columbia University Death to Israel, Death to America cult. Don't ever hire anyone from Columbia University. That's one of the things. If you went to Columbia, you should be unhireable, I think. Don't you think? Yes, sir. That's it. Now, left-wingers at Mediaite, they've got a story. Here's the headline. It's in quotation marks. There is no recovering from this, end quote. Chunk Todd declares J.D. Vance presidential hopes, quote, dead. See, J.D. Vance's presidential hopes are dead, Chunk Todd said, which pretty much guarantees that J.D. Vance will be the next president of the United States. Because Chunk has always been wrong about everything, and he's a clown. Former NBC newsman Chunk Todd declared Vice President J.D. Vance's chances of securing a promotion in 2028 dead on Monday during a conversation with CNN and Washington Post alum Chris Lickspittle-Cillizza, the veteran political analyst. He's a veteran political analyst, allegedly. Argued that President Donald Trump's decision to launch a military operation in Iran has harmed his number two's political prospects in a few ways. J.D. Vance's presidential aspirations are dead, stated Chuck Todd.
J.D. Vance's presidential aspirations are dead.
That is a hot take.
Buried.
Okay, explain. I mean, I know what you're talking about. But
from this.
Okay.
Recovering from this.
Because he is such a
vice president.
Right.
No, it's what happens. It's like what happened to Kamala Harris. Whatever identity J.D. Vance had going that was different from Donald Trump's is gone. And now you own everything he does. And he is certainly in this, there's been nothing that he's, it's clear he's a little uncomfortable with this, right?
Of course, it's exactly the opposite of what he advocated.
Stop yelling, Lickspittle.
He cannot ever run against this. So he has lost the one thing that made him different is gone. The differentiator is gone. His America First credentials are just non-existent. There is no recovering from this.
No recovering from this. There is no. They're the doomsayers extraordinaire, and all the Democrats are out there. It's already lost. It's doomsday. The biggest threat to the United States and Western civilization is not Iran. It's the American Democratic Party. Of course, they back Iran. They support Iran. They provide their immoral support to Iran, the immoral support caucus of the Democrat Party. They're with Nicolas Maduro, the drug trafficking kleptocrat, election stealer. That's what Democrats are pretty much themselves, too. So isn't that amazing? But there's Lickspittle and Chunk. Lickspittle was screaming and yelling. Why was he screaming and yelling? Was he at home in a bathtub or something? That was Lickspittle. Yeah, and Lickspittle has reappeared. And Chunk. And they're still wrong about everything. Isn't that amazing? Yes, sir. Yeah, there's another story about Lickspittle that is out there as well, which is kind of fun. And what is that? Edrantz.com. The unbearable stupidity of Chris Cillizza. Kind of funny. Like most professional pundits who tell us to sleep with dull platitudes, Chris Lickspittle Cillizza is an imperious tadpole who somehow believes that he has the legs to win a frog jumping contest. I think that's a reference to an old Mark Twain thing. But there we Cillizza's sophism was shrewdly sussed out by Dave Weigel in 2014, and his style, if we can call it that, has long been the bane of anyone who actually listens to him, genuinely cares about thinking and journalism. But Lickspittle, he's on CNN and he's yelling at Chunk Todd, and our news media is just the most ridiculous, the most comical, most absurd. Oh, and then we have Jim Acosta too, Abilio Acosta. He's another former CNN guy. I got to tell you, CNN. It looks like CNN may sell to somebody that believes in the truth. And so they're having a flop sweat panic attack over at CNN. But this was Jim Acosta, Jim Abilio Acosta. He's still, he's a journalist of some kind, according to himself. And the great people at Media Research Center caught Jim Acosta talking to another left-wing lunatic on Al Gore's amazing internet, thanks to the patriarchy. And here is Lickspittle, not Lickspittle. This is Abilio Acosta. He's ashamed of his Cuban heritage, so he doesn't use Abilio. He says, call me Jim.
In addition to that, I heard Pete Hegseth say this morning at the Pentagon briefing that Iran is responsible for thousands of American deaths. I don't know what he's talking about. I guess he's saying that there were IEDs supplied by Iranian proxies during the Iraq War. And so that's how they're getting. But it feels like, again, we're going through this thing all over again where the government is lying.
Wow. Hey, there you go. Jim Acosta. Like when Barack Obama famously said that the military campaign that they launched against 8 different countries, but against Libya in particular, he said it would last days and not weeks, and that it lasted 8 months. And the American news media completely ignored it, just completely ignored it. And then they left the country in the hands of ISIS and Al-Qaeda because, everything they do produces the opposite of the intended results. Isn't that amazing? I'd tell you what, let's take here, come back to your calls to the great American people. And what did the Speaker of the House say about this? Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, he called it a preemptive strike on Iran and said that it stopped staggering U.S. casualties. What was the Speaker of the House talking about? That's coming up. And I've also got an update for you on the 3 F-15 shot down by our allies in Kuwait. And a woman crew member, pilot or backseater, who parachuted down. I want to talk about her. She got a nice smile. Let's go back to the telephones, though. Let's go to Monty. There's Monty. Monty from Columbia, Maryland. Monty, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Yes, I was hoping that I can get to talk to you.
Well, here you are.
Okay. And we know what's going on. Right now I'm watching TV and what's happening in the world because of the Islamic regime Shiaism that was established in Iran in 1979.
Uh-huh.
Because we Iranians are peaceful people.
Right.
We were the country who established human rights by Cyrus the Great in 539 BCE. And these things that are happening in the name of Iranians are really painful to any real Iranian.
Mm-hmm.
I just want my fellow Americans to understand that all of these things that are said, that Iranians did, that's not Iranian. Iranians, when Khomeini died, was killed, they were dancing on the streets when he died, when he was killed. The Iranian people are quiet because they are ashamed of what's going on in their name. And these people are Shiite Islamists who have nothing to do with Iran and Iranian civilization and Iranian history. We have been a peaceful country for thousands of years.
Yeah. Well,
and it's shameful for every Iranian.
Well, sure, it's the rise of radical Islam, and it's true that Persian culture is an extraordinary culture and was creating things for thousands of years, from windmills to chess to all kinds of great cultural developments, the Persian culture, before it was taken over. And Mani, you know that the Nazis came through under Adolf Hitler and met with the mullahs back then, and it was Persia until then. And they said, "Oh, you should be called Iran," right? And Mani, why did they say it's going to be? What is the word Iran rooted in?
Well, Iran means the land of peace.
Well, but the term
an ancient name.
But Persia is. But Iran is Aryan, right?
No, Iran is not Aryan. Iran is based on ancient language.
I mean
Iran.
the word. I mean the word.
The land of peace.
Uh-huh. Oh, look, I understand.
Persia means.
Go ahead.
Yes. Persia was the first people thousands of years ago, according to UNESCO, 60,000 years ago. There was the first human society was established in the western mountains of Iran, and they were called Persians.
Well, listen, Mani, it is the Persian culture is a great culture, and we can go back there all kinds of the battles with the Greeks in ancient times and in the Mediterranean and all that good stuff. That's just the history of the world, and that's all fine. Persia is a great culture. The Islamist culture is the problem. I got to, 3 American F-15 Strike Eagle fighter jets were shot down by our alleged allies, the bobblehead dolls in Kuwait. You can train them, but still you're dealing with Kuwaitis, and that's, thousands of years of not so much going on there. With that, let's, I see someone on the phones wants to talk about that. I got to say, it's just, it's crazy. Let's go to Jack, calling from Satellite Beach, Florida, on the Space Coast. Jack, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Good morning, Chris.
Hey,
Hope
Jack.
you're having a grand day.
Excellent.
Chris, I was listening to you yesterday, and you were mentioning your theory about the bobblehead Kuwaitis, and that very likely is the primary reason our guys got shot down. But I'm also thinking that, as you know, your time in the Pentagon, with the military, what flows downhill. And Kuwait had been hit pretty hard for a day and a half before they shot down our planes. So I'm thinking the Emir contacted the defense minister, who contacted the guy in charge of that facility that shot down our airplanes, and said, "Don't let that ever happen again." So they became trigger happy. So that's one theory. Not that they didn't know what to do.
Now, to be clear, to be clear, it's Iran that is raining death down upon them, not the United States, of course. But still, they're being attacked.
But they were just trigger happy.
Right.
Anything that was flying over, and then that's where the bobblehead comes in. They became so flustered because they would get so much pressure. Don't let another single missile or drone hit our country, that they were just shooting at anything up in the air.
Yeah.
But there's something more nefarious. I was thinking.
Uh-huh.
What if they did it on purpose? And you say, well, why would they? Well, why would 3 Kuwaitis crash into our buildings in New York City? After we saved them in the first Gulf War. Could have.
Yeah, it's it's a complicated region of the world, isn't it? Isn't it, Jack?
It is. And our 6 servicemen that were killed in Kuwait at that command center, the American Command Center.
Mm-hmm.
How did Iran get the exact coordinates for where our guys were in Kuwait?
Okay.
Somebody had to have given them those coordinates.
Well,
so
that's an interesting thought.
Bobbleheads, or it's very, very nefarious.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I understand your thinking now, and nothing is out of the question, certainly when it comes to that region of the world. Now, the Iranians going to have agents in Kuwait who do work for them, and everybody's phone gives you GPS coordinates of wherever you are, and range finders, and you can all these tools are readily available on Al Gore's amazing internet. Most of them are available on your telephone, your smartphone. But I understand your interesting thinking, and the Emir said got tired of having death rain down upon them by Iran, and still, to the Arab mind, they might be thinking, well, if the U.S. didn't do this, this wouldn't be happening to us now. So you never know what the thinking is of the Emir, who is the monarch of Kuwait, right? And you never know. And is there somebody there helping Iran? I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. And is that person a Kuwaiti? You can't rule that out.
Yeah, that's why we were so surprised when Kuwaitis were in those airplanes that hit our World Trade Center and crashed into that Pennsylvania field. So, I mean, their loyalties are not with the United States of America. Some of them are not. And then combine that with the Emir saying, don't you let one more missile hit our country. And like I said, then they turned into bobbleheads and just start shooting at anything in the air that, that brought down our 3 very expensive airframes. So that's what I thought I'd kind of flesh out the bubble. I spent some time in Kuwait and all those Gulf states when I was flying for an airline over there. So I understand what your thinking is and why you would come to that thought. So
yeah,
but enjoy your show a lot. I enjoy your show a lot. And when we come, perhaps in a few more months, the actual voting season, I'd like to call you up and talk about the governor of California and her cuckold husband. So, but that'll be for a different day.
All right, Jack. Thank you. Yeah, the governor of California, the cuckolded husband. Funny stuff. Jack, thank you. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it. And it's I'm not sure there were Kuwaitis among the 19 hijackers, though. The Saudis, I think 15 of them were Saudis, and UAE. There was an Egyptian, a Lebanese, but I'm not sure. There are Kuwaitis on the planes crashing. But let me share this with you, Jack, because there are a couple stories since you mentioned you're talking about the 3 American F-15 Strike Eagles that were shot down, and there's a story in the Daily Mail, the British newspaper, and they've got a couple of pictures, one of an F-15 in a flat spin falling to the ground, and one with a picture of an American pilot, and he's actually down on one knee in his full flight gear, of course, with helmet and everything. He's down on one knee with his hands up, as an Arab man in a white T-shirt has a metal pipe about the size of a T-ball bat, and he's rushing at the American. The American has his hands up, down on one knee, and he says, "Back up, I'm American." back up, I'm American, right? And this is, again, in Kuwait. And this is kind of a back up, I'm American, incredible moment. Local threatens airman with a metal pipe, thinking he was Iranian. See, he thought that an Iranian plane had been downed, saw the parachutes, rushed after the parachutes, and found the pilot on the ground, was attacking him with a pipe. The American F-15 crew member, pilot or backseater, after he parachuted out of the F-15, mistakenly shot down by Kuwait. And the American sees the man rushing at him with a big pipe, and he says, hey, hey, hey.
Go! Go! Oh! Done! Back up. Go! Back up. Go! Okay. Muhammad, enter. Muhammad. Go! Let's go. Back up. Back up. American. Okay. You got it. American. Come on,
I'm American. Oh, okay. You'd think you'd be able to tell by 5 different factors, but this moment, American pilot who parachuted out of an F-15 fighter jet shot down over Kuwait and by Kuwait was threatened by a local with a pipe, and he wasn't alone. There were several men who had rushed. Now, look, if they're Iranian pilots and they're in there bombing the hell out of everybody, then they should probably beat them to death with a metal pipe. But since they're Americans, the footage on social media shows a group of men approaching the pilot and shouting, while one of them brandishes a metal pipe. The pilot is heard repeating, "Back up, stop." And the men move closer and closer, appearing to think that the airman is Iranian. The tense situation is diffused once the pilot finally tells the locals he's American, after which they retreat and leave him alone, which is good stuff. The pilot was aboard one of the 3 F-15 fighter jets, mistakenly shot down over the Middle Eastern country on Monday. Footage had earlier emerged showing the $90 million airplane spiraling out of control, then crashed to the ground. U.S. Central Command said that all 6 crew members ejected safely and have been recovered, evacuated, and transferred to hospital for health checks, because punching out of your jet is like having a car accident, and you get blasted out, the canopy blasts off, and then your seat is there's a jet rocket, and you're ejected out of the airplane, and it's very violent. It can cause spinal damage and nerve damage, and you bang your arms and your legs, and you can really be injured while ejecting, as John McCain was, for example, when he ejected in Vietnam, breaking his legs and so on. So you take him to the hospital when somebody ejects from a fighter jet, because there could be all kinds of things. Now, Kuwaiti's Ministry of Defense said it coordinated with the U.S. regarding the circumstances of the incident and would investigate. 4 years from now, we'll get an unsatisfying one-page release on a Friday afternoon on that. But there's another video of one of the crew members was a woman from one of the 3 F-15s, at least one of the 3 F-15s. And I've got to say, this woman is on the beach. She landed in her parachute, ejected from the F-15 Strike Eagle, shot down by our friends, the Kuwaitis. She landed on the beach, and she is, of course, in her flight suit and so on. And I've got to say, this woman, I watched the video, and she has got the biggest smile you've ever seen on anybody's face, with her helmet on and her full uniform, and she's got her parachute out kit. And I don't know why these guys, why she doesn't have a pistol in her hand, and why the man pilot we just talked about didn't have a pistol in his hand. I know they eject with a pistol, but they were just calming everything down without firearms. And here is the lady crew member, pilot or backseater, and I can't tell which, and she is on the beach, and a man comes rushing out to her, yelling at her with an Arabic accent, and he says, hey, I'm here to, he recognizes right away that she's American. The Iranians don't have women fighter pilots, for one thing, and they don't have women cab drivers or bus drivers because they're misogynistic, racists, anti-Semitic, genocidal, bloodthirsty goblins, kind of like Democrats. They're a lot like Democrats. So here is a woman, a female crew member of one of the F-15s on the beach, and she's standing up, and she looks like she's just fine. She's got her Casio watch on, and when the man comes rushing at her, he's yelling at her, and you can hear the woman and say, oh, I'm fine. And I got to tell you, she looks real casual. She looks relaxed, and the look on her face is great. She's got a huge, broad smile, and I think I emailed this to some military friends yesterday. Look at this woman. She looks like she's pretty cool.
You're fine? Really? You need something to help you?
No, I'm okay, she says.
No problem. You're safe. You're safe. Everything good? No problem.
Well, you shouldn't have shot me down.
Thank you for helping us.
Thank you for helping us. Thank you for helping us. And the woman is just she's all smiles, and the guy is rushing over to help, and he speaks English, and is, you're okay? Can I get you something? I'm like, yeah, I'd like a chicken shawarma. Maybe I'm kind of hungry. Been up in the air for a long time. But he's like, thank you. Are you okay? And she didn't say, yeah, I wish you hadn't shot down my $90 million F-15 while I was flying it. But other than that, yeah, I feel fine. But I've got to say, the woman, she doesn't look tall. She doesn't appear to be big and brawny. Seems to be kind of a small woman. And she's in her full flight gear. And the look on her face is just great. She's just got this huge, broad smile. Her eyes are lit up. And she looks relaxed while this guy is rushing at her and yelling, can I help? Can I help? And I guess she decided that they're over friendly territory. No need to draw a pistol and start shooting people. And that's probably just as well. But she looked great. And right on the beach, just on the water's edge, I mean, she probably had to maneuver the parachute over there to make sure she didn't get feet wet. Yeah, but our friends in Kuwait, the bobbleheads, they shot down 3 F-15 fighter jets, about $90 million each. They'll pay us back, no doubt. They should give these flight crew members, the 6 of them, they should give them each, $10 million or some. Say, hey, so Sarah, here's some oil money for you. They really should. If I were advising them, I'd say, here, you got a PR problem here. Let me help you out with this. Let's go to the telephones. Let's go to Jim, calling from Centerville, Virginia. Jim, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Chris, how are you, sir? Pleasure to speak with you. I'm just a reminder for our audience and some of our friends in D.C. I'm a Vietnam veteran. I think Vietnam was not a declared war, and we lost 60 to 70,000 of my troops, of my fellow generation over there. And I'm not sure what the threat was either by the Vietnamese. I think they had sticks and stones and in World War I rifles, if I recall. They weren't really heavily armed with nuclear stuff. Can you remind these Democrat fools about that, maybe?
and President and the Democrats, John F. Kennedy, and then LBJ got us into Vietnam. We had 500,000 men in Vietnam, and that's right, lost more than 59,000 Americans from 1959 to 1975 in an undeclared war. Well, look, the Democrats are the party of war, Jim, as you know.
Absolutely.
The American Civil War, the Democrat president was the president of the Confederate States of America, Jefferson Davis. Getting into World War I, progressive, Democrat, racist, segregationist Woodrow Wilson got us into World War I. The progressive Democrat FDR presided over our entry into World War II. And then the Korean War we got into with Harry Truman, Democrat and vice president to FDR. And we got into the Vietnam War, first under JFK a bit, and then really got in up to our eyeballs under Lyndon Baines Johnson, LBJ. And honestly, 9/11 would have never happened had it not been for the Clinton administration building a wall between foreign intelligence and domestic intelligence. Had they been talking to each other over the objections of the Clinton administration, then we would have found the hijackers before 9/11, and we never would have had these wars in the Middle East after 9/11 if the Democrats had not screwed up our intelligence gathering.
Well, absolutely. That's a great summary of all that. But currently, the great JFK and LBJ were the perpetrators of an undeclared war with huge losses and time spent over in Vietnam. And yet they think that what we're doing is is such a bad thing, trying to save the world, essentially from nuclear potential destruction with these people over in Iran. The memories are so short that, Chris, it's tragic.
It is, and we don't teach history, not U.S. history. We teach a little. The left teaches a little anti-American history, but they don't teach real American history. And again, Barack Obama bombed Libya for 8 months until it was a regime change war. And Hillary Clinton, may remember Benghazi was Hillary Clinton's shining moment during the 8 months of Obama and Biden and Hillary attacking Libya. And Gaddafi is a bad guy, and he's dead now. But they left it in the hands of ISIS and al-Qaeda, the whole country in the hands of ISIS and al-Qaeda. Everything the Democrats touch turns to things that you don't want on your dinner plate. I'll just leave it at that. Jim, God bless. Saluting you, my friend. All right, there is a big news story breaking right about now. The Iranian Supreme Council. I want to be on the Supreme Council. I want to be known as the Supreme Leader, I think. The Iranian Supreme Council, they had gathered today in Tehran, and they were counting the votes. They had a vote. It's like almost like the College of Cardinals in the Vatican, selecting a new pope, and they were selecting a new Ayatollah. The Iranian Supreme Council was counting the votes to appoint the next supreme leader of the nation when, guess what happened? Israel dropped a bomb on it, and it blew up. And suffice to say, they have not selected a new supreme leader. And I've actually got an audio soundbite on you for that, on that topic from the Fox News channel.
I do want to just start with some breaking news here before I show you the scene of one of these cluster munition impacts just outside of Tel Aviv. But I'm told by a senior Israeli official that the Israelis just struck the Supreme Council gathering where the Iranians were meeting to choose a new supreme leader. This is a significant development and, again, speaks to the Israeli intelligence about this war.
Miso Sali. And you heard that in Tel Aviv, cluster munitions were exploding to kill civilians. So Sali, so sad.